This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
Well, the next week, the tag match is you and Rhino against Joe and Styles. Match goes 5 minutes. There's so much talent there, and this match only goes 5 minutes.
I know.
And AJ pins Rhino right before you're about to beat Joe. You put Joe in the ankle lock afterwards. Security can't get you off as you're screaming about a rematch. The scary part about this, though, is Joe actually gets hurt and sprains his MCL. What do you remember about that injury? How did it happen? And were you worried that that might potentially interrupt you guys having this rubber match?
Well, the injury, I didn't know it occurred until after the match, and I actually put the ankle lock on his bad leg. I wouldn't have done that if I would have known it was injured. But yeah, I was a little bit concerned, but I knew that Joe and I were pros and we could work around the injury and be able to make the 30-minute Ironman match make sense. So Joe's a pro, and I knew that he wouldn't back out of the match. I knew he would continue on.
There's an interesting note from Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer around this time. And Dave is a very smart mind, and I give Dave a lot of credit, but there are times where I think he does assume some things. I'm going to read this quote. Samoa Joe was all black and blue at TV before he hurt his knee, as Angle is giving everyone a beating. So, Kurt, were you just being super snug with everybody, or is that a little presumptuous?
Okay, that's a little presumptuous. I think Dave Meltzer's full of shit. Listen, I was snug, but if any wrestler would send all these wrestlers home black and blue, that wrestler would get fired in a second. Okay, that wrestler would be dangerous. So I was a little snug, but I didn't leave the wrestlers black and blue. The only person that I ever left a black and blue mark on was the announcer for TNA, and I can't remember his name. I actually punched him in the face, and I got him pretty good. And his cheek swelled up, and he got a bruise on his face. But other than that, I never left any wrestler black and blue. That's ridiculous.
I was going to say the only one that probably was leaving black and blue was yourself. All the damage you were putting through yourself in the ring with the intensity that you had. I mean,
I probably made myself more black and blue than anybody else.
That's what I'm saying, man. That's crazy to me. So after all this, Joe ends up being okay. You finally get him to agree to a rematch. Mike Tenay and Jim Cornette are in the ring announcing Joe as Mr. TNA for 2006. I'm sure that just sits very well with you. And you attack his girlfriend and threaten to break her ankle if you don't get a rematch. Joe agrees to it. And then what do? You break her ankle anyway, Kurt. What is going on here? What is happening?
I'm the heel, man. I have to play the heel character. So I'm going to break everybody's ankle.
I'm curious your thoughts on this. I feel like a lot of times in pro wrestling, and I can think of dozens and dozens of storylines where it's easy heat to get a family member involved and have the heel go to work on a family member. I mean, Joe, even as a heel, has done this in WWE, and so many other promotions do this. You've had it a ton of times in your career. Do you feel like sometimes that becomes a trope that could be potentially overused, or is it about how you use it effectively?
No, I think you're right. I think it can be overused. I think we do it way too much. But, if you want to strike a nerve with the fans, they care about their family members, and they would die for them and they would do anything for them. And that's the reason why we do it, because the people closest to you are the people we care about. And when you hurt them, that's when you want to get revenge.
That's certainly fair. Well, later on, you and Joe brawl. Cornette makes the match a 30-minute Ironman match. You've done them with Brock Lesnar, Shawn Michaels. My gut tells me the wrestling machine Kurt Angle probably isn't afraid of an Ironman match. Do those hit home with you?
Yes, I love Ironman matches. They're a great test. They're a great test of psychology. They're a great test of conditioning. It's one of my favorite matches. That's what I love to do.
And you have to get really crafty too. And we're going to do a watch along of this match. I'm so excited to break this match down with you, because you can't overuse the gimmick either, where there's 6 falls to 5 falls. It becomes too much at that point. So I imagine creating those stories, you have to be really crafty, right?
Oh yeah. You have to tell an incredible story in an Ironman match. And the crazy thing is, you can't memorize everything. It's just too long of a match.
Right.
You have to improvise 75% of the time. The only thing that you have planned are the finishes, whether it be a submission or a pinfall. And those are the things you set in the match at different times. So, you have to have great psychology to do an Ironman match.
I'm so excited to break down the psychology of this match with you. So let's keep going here. You wrestle Christian. That's kind of weird because you're both the top two heels in the company, but we've seen in this episode so far, heels and baby faces, there's a little blending on that on TNA Impact. Now, what's even weirder is that Tomko attacks you to give you the win, and Sting, the number 2 babyface in the company behind Joe, saves you. What is going on here, Kurt? Who is booking this?
This is what I'm talking about. When I tell you they change shit at the last second, this is when shit doesn't make sense. This is what happened the day of the show. They changed it up, and this is what you get. You get a mess.
I am cracking up here because it takes a lot to hear you get fired up. So this clearly struck a little bit of a chord with you. And it's madness.
Stuff didn't make sense. It just, this happened every once in a while, but it really is a shame because that what the writers had planned was not what you saw on TV, which is crazy.
Well, let's get even weirder because you end up putting Christian in a penalty box and Joe attacks you. This is like 2000 WCW as far as I'm concerned here. What is happening, man?
I don't know. I think the penalty box, if you got pinned, you got put in the penalty box and you had no chance of winning while you were in there. I'm not sure why they did it, but I guess it was just another gimmick match they wanted to throw at people.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.